Shout out to Ashley, our favorite park ranger at Carlsbad Caverns. New Mexico pleasantly surprised us. There was so much to see and do. I will say it was a little bit warm here. In Roswell, New Mexico, we stayed at the Spring River Campground with this very, very large bathroom complex. And the best thing was they kept the air conditioning around 52 degrees in this building. It was a delight considering it was about 106 outside. We had a walking path from the back of the campground right into town.
And there's my little spaceship picking up a cow. Roswell.
We stayed at Carlsbad RV Park and Campground. They had a very large community room which was attached to the laundry room. Much appreciated is a magazine and book exchange, and this one also had DVDs that you could take and utilize. The bathroom here was one of the nicest that I've ever seen, with modern tiling, very clean, and clearly it was just recently redone. I really enjoy the electrical outlet right next to the sink, and of course paper towels is always a big plus. This had a nice handicap stall that had an included toilet. This is the mural painted on the outside of the indoor pool. Day one at the park was late afternoon with some beautiful lighting. We went to watch the bat flight. It happens each evening at dusk. The bats leave the caves in search of food. Not too many bats to see. On this particular evening, we had time for a nice dinner out. The next morning, we started out early, packed our lunch to take down our walk into the caverns.
Carlsbad Caverns. Penny. Mohawk.
This is kind of an expensive souvenir.
Yeah, versus your $6 for vitamin water.
Well, that's not a souvenir, it's a necessity.
I see. Because regular water won't do it, huh?
That's right. That happened to the last patron as well.
I know. And they don't print it on the back. But there it is. Read it and weep, people. Life on the road. See you down the road.
It's fine.
This is referred to as the natural entrance to the Carlsbad Caverns, and it's quite the dramatic entrance. Those aren't bats that you see during the daytime, but lots of birds frequent the entrance to the cave because of the cool air. There is also an elevator that's available to descend into the cave. We decided to use the elevator on the way out. We're pretty quickly treated to some pretty spectacular views.
We reserved our self-guided tour tickets online at recreation.gov, and we're fortunate enough to obtain tickets while we were checking in for the King's Palace tour, I believe it was called, which was a ranger-guided tour of some incredible auxiliary caverns off of the main path.
It's pretty cool in the caverns, about 55 or so degrees, which is so welcome after coming from the heat up top. These formations are known as the Three Kings, very recognizable. Hi, Ashley, and thank you for leading our tour today. It was so fabulous. I really enjoyed it. Can you tell me a little bit about what it's like to be a park ranger?
Sure. So being a park ranger, there's a bunch of different kinds. I'm an interpretation and education ranger. So with that, I get to learn about all the awesome resources we have and then share them with people. So that includes doing orientations to keep our resources safe, making sure people know the rules of the cave, going through and doing roves of the trails that we have, telling people about, or answering questions and telling people about stuff, and leading tours like the King's Palace tour you just went on. So with that, it's all about kind of like a teacher, but a park teacher, which is pretty fun. There's other kind of rangers as well. We have fees rangers, resources rangers. There's all sorts based on what you're interested in. So with that, I just really like talking to people. So this is the path for me, but if someone's into biology or hydrology or mechanics or buildings, there's all sorts of different kinds that you can kind of go into.
Did you go to school to be an educator or for communications?
So I went to school, well, originally I went to school for fine arts, but I ended up doing an alternative service experience where instead of doing spring break, my junior year of college, I went to Peak State Park and volunteered there for a week and talked to the park rangers there. I switched, and throughout the course of my thing, I switched from fine arts to environmental science to sustainable development to global studies, and I couldn't really figure out what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to protect resources and I wanted to make sure that I was making some sort of difference, and going through the environmental policy route, it seemed like a little bit soul draining, and just sitting behind a desk wasn't really my fit. So doing this volunteer experience, I got to talk to the rangers. It seems like they got to do all the things I want to do. They got to protect resources, they got to make a difference, but they got to do it by talking to people and getting people excited about the resources so that they'd then advocate to protect them and stuff like that. So after that, I switched my major to recreation management with a concentration in parks and recreation and minors in Spanish and sustainable development. After I graduated, during the final semester of college, I worked at New River State Park in North Carolina, And then once I graduated, I got an internship working at Okmulgee Mounds National Historical Park as an intern. Super cool park. It's Vasco Georgia's first national park, which is pretty awesome. It's the ancestral homelands of the Muskogee Creek Nation. But I was working there as an intern, kind of building up their volunteer program. And then halfway through that, I applied here just for kicks to practice my application skills. And I ended up getting it. So I was like, oh, cool, I guess I'm moving to New Mexico. There's different kinds of jobs, even within interpretation and education. So with that, a lot of people will start off with seasonal careers. So with seasonal rangers, it's going to be 6 months at a place. There's an on-season and an off-season. When places need more rangers seasonally, they'll have just what's the word? People can kind of build up their experience in parks, going from place to place to place to place for 6 months chunks at a time. I got really lucky and got to skip over that and jump straight into a permanent position, which is what we have here because I speak Spanish. So with that, bilingual positions are a little bit less competitive. So I was able to kind of jump over some of that.
This is really interesting. It's really great information. Do they provide training to you as well?
Yeah, so there's a lot of opportunities for training with some of them. So learning about this place and these resources, we had, I want to say, 2 weeks of training. With that, we went through with historians of the park, with other park rangers, shadowing them, asking questions and things like that. We got to learn about these resources and how to do certain aspects of this job properly. And then we also have the opportunity to take other trainings. There's ones like the Green Dot training, which is how you can have make safe space for crucial conversations. We've had opportunities to take different trainings for different kind of aspects of the job, be it for educational purposes or to just make us better employees and coworkers and all that good stuff in general. So,
excellent. Thank you, Ashley. I really appreciate it. This has been so informative, and I have to tell you that Carlsbad Caverns is in my top 3 now.
Oh my God,
I have to say,
ideal.
and it was really due to your tutelage and your leadership during the tour. It was really great. You're very personable.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Thank you guys for coming and being such awesome. The tours aren't good because we make the tours good. The tours are good because there's people who are on them who want to learn about the resources.
And who are interested and interactive and engage. I agree. Well, thank you
guys.
again.
Awesome.
Santa Fe Farmers Market today. They're on Saturdays and Tuesdays. Nice looking place and a lot cooler than it was when Truth and Consequences. So we're gonna look for some lunch and then get on the road.
We stayed at Santa Fe Skies RV Park. It was beautiful. The flowers and decorations were gorgeous, and the view was really quite beautiful from our campsite. They had a very large kitchen, community kitchen for use by all the campers, and an extremely large bathroom setup with many shower stalls and bathroom stalls. In Los Alamos, New Mexico, Manhattan Project administrators found an ideal location for the secret laboratory, where they designed and built the world's first atomic weapons. During the Manhattan Project, Los Alamos became the home to many of the top scientific minds of the day: J. Robert Oppenheimer, Norris Bradbury, Richard Feynman, Hans Bethe, and many more luminaries. These scientists worked together to develop the theoretical and experimental tests that created the first atomic weapons using enriched uranium from Oak Ridge and plutonium from Hanford. Today, The nucleus of this once secret city is still Los Alamos National Laboratory. Pro tip, make sure you get all 3 stamps to all 3 areas throughout the country for this Manhattan project. Source nps.gov.
Next, we're off to Bandelier National Monument, where we're going to look at some cliff dwellings.
What we liked about the National Monument is it was a nice, easy walk and really well laid out. We went early in the morning, about 7 or 8 o'clock, and it was still pretty cool out, and it was certainly not anywhere near as crowded as some of the other locations. It's a salt bed, a dried up lake. There's a big one on my left too, we're just coming out of. That's why they call it the Salt Flats, right? White Sands National Monument is the largest gypsum deposit in the world. Jim took this hike. He wound up doing it on his own. It was too hot for me. It was about 105 degrees. Here I am, staying cool in the van. Got this sled on gypsum. How do you feel?
Scooch back a little, hon. Yep. Go, baby. Pick up those feet. Pick them up. Come on. Pick them up. You loser. Oh. You know how hard it was to get up this hill? Good job, dear. Good job.